Nobody was doing them when I came here, and I used to tinker with clocks at home, still do. And a past manager, he said, if the fire is out and the clock stopped, and the house feels abandoned. But if you've got a clock ticking and a fire burning, the house looks alive, as though the occupants have just stepped out. This clock has only got a small spring on it. It's a cheap clock, and so it only runs for 30 hours. It's assumed that you'll wind it up each morning. But this hasn't been looked at since Sunday, so it's stopped. So I have to wind it and I have to reset the time, and it'll just run for the day. There we are, that's 11 half turns. So I set it to 12 on the hour hand, it's on the minute hand, 11 on the hour hand, and then round to the 22. And I start it going just by ticking the pendulum. Nice steady tick. You try to set up the clock so that that tick is even, so it goes tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, rather than going tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Partly it's aesthetic, partly the clock runs more accurately and more reliable if the tick is even. So this is known as a steeple clock. So it's a lovely clock. It's got one spring to drive the hands and another spring that allows you to find the chime. 5, 6, 7, 8, 23, 24. There we are. So I count the half turns so I know when I'm running up against the limits of the spring. So I've wound the hands and now I'm winding the strike. There we are, that's fully wound. You can feel there's a ratchet that tends to tell you that you've reached the end of the winding sequence. Now, because this clock chimes, I have to set the time by moving the hands forwards and then letting it strike the hour and the half hour. So there's the half hour and 3 o'clock. So this will take a little while. So through the half hour and up into position, and then just start the pendulum ticking. Again, it's another nice American clock. Each clock has a bit of a personality, so they have quirks of their own. Some need to be set a particular way, some need to sit at a particular angle, and winding them you get to feel when the spring tightens, so you can wind them up completely without actually overshooting and damaging the springs. So familiarity helps. It's like having an old car. You learn its quirks and you learn how to make it work best. It's not any great complexity or sophistication, just you pick it up as you go along. This is another American clock, and it's technically known as a half octagon because you've got an octagonal top half giving you the shape. And like the other clocks in America, it's got 2 springs, one that drives the hands and one that drives the clock striking every hour. Wind it up. Sometimes you have to wind them clockwise, sometimes anti-clockwise. Again, this will take about 22 half turns. And the same for the strike. I have a slight cheat on this one. there is a little bit of piano wire hanging down from the chiming mechanism, and if I push upwards on that bit of wire, it chimes the half hour, and then that'll be 12 o'clock, I think. Did that chime 14? Was it 12? I've lost count. The problem with getting old is you become an idiot. The clocks get it right even if I don't. There we go. So, another steeple clock, one of the cheap American ones. Different design but the same basic idea. This one, I'm afraid the hands go round quite happily, but it no longer chimes the hours. So, less effort in winding it up anyway. Here we are. And tick away to itself for a while. What time is it? It was a bit after 12 o'clock, wasn't it? Yes, 12 minutes past 12. So there we are. Quick and simple. I've got a key for every clock, but I carry 2 keys of my own. The smaller key here is used for the American clocks. The larger key is used for the European clocks. The peg on which the key goes is smaller for the American clocks and larger for the European clocks. A clip to allow you to open the glass, and then you can wind away. It's already wound up, but isn't running, so let's see. I would suspect the last time I wound this, I set it and then I forgot to start the pendulum moving. It's coming up on 20 past 12 and I can just move the hands without having to worry about repeatedly bring it round and round. And then it just clicks closed again, same as before. So this one's going to be interesting. The clock in the printers is mounted quite high up, so you need a certain amount of acrobatic ability to get to it. So the European clock, so we use the big key. There we go, same again, pop it, no strike mechanism. It's running just very slightly fast, so I need to set it back about 5 minutes. There we are. And that's it. But this one runs for a week. It's an 8-day clock, and I wind it each Tuesday. There's actually only one weight in here. And you wind it up like this. I'm reaching up to catch the right hand of the 2 loops, and I'll start lifting the weight by pulling up the chain. This avoids damaging the mechanism too much. When you're winding up, I'm lifting with my left hand to take the weight of the clock weight and take the strain off the mechanism, and pulling down on the other side. So you keep going like that. When you get far enough up, you can support the weight directly, and you keep going until the weight reaches the top of its travel. Then start the pendulum, and you can hear the clock ticking. 11 o'clock. And now I can wind it round to 20 to 1, and it'll come up and chime 1 o'clock in due course. So, A lot of it's similar to the other clocks, but it's pretending to be a more sophisticated clock than it is. This is another European clock designed for offices and such like. So all the mechanism is hidden around the back. And this again will run for 2 weeks, given the opportunity. So it's still running from the last time, and it should be more or less on time. Yep, it's bang on time. In fact, I haven't need to reset it at all. Now, the handy thing about this clock is that I can take it off the wall and show you the mechanism. So it has a box here which swings open, and you can see the way it's got the pendulum ticking, and if you look from the side, you'll see once again that you have a spring in a brass case down here, and it drives a series of gears which rotate gradually slower and slower. It's a very simple concept, although you need a lot of precision work to make everything accurately so it works properly. So, get this back in place again and get it running. Right. And you leave it ticking evenly, and it'll keep going until next week. Right, there's one more clock in the pub here, and that's in the lounge. Of course, in the lounge, it must be a fancier clock. This is actually a French clock. It's a style of clock known as ormolu, in which you have white metal castings that act as ornamentation, and a little bit of enamel work as well. So it's a much fancier looking clock. It's actually harder to read than the others. It's got a pendulum round the back, and it winds up in just the same manner as all the others. There we are. Start it moving, listen. And I've turned this slightly, and again until it's ticking evenly. When this clock was made, it was put in as part of the shop decor. So this was built into the shop, and again, late 19th century, this ornate style with lots of woodwork. It does have the second dummy winding hole, so it's pretending to be a more expensive clock than it is. There are 13 turns, and it's 4 minutes to 1, so the clock's just about right. So, an easy one to do. I'm afraid it's going to be a bit of an obstacle course. So, usual routine, open the face and wind the 2 springs. So that's the spring that drives the bell, and this is the spring that drives the hands. Right. So, start the tick. 1, 2. So that sets itself to 1 o'clock, which is very good from our point of view, because it means I can set the hand here, and it is just after 1 o'clock, isn't it? In fact, it is. It's 3 minutes past 1. So, every now and then, the gods of clocks smile upon you, and you don't have to do a lot of tedious adjusting. The grandfather's clock was too tall for the shelf, so it stood 90 years on the floor. It was taller by far than the old man himself, though it weighed not a penny weight more. It was bought on the morn of the day that he was born, and was always his joy and his pride. But it stopped short, never to go again, when the old man died.